I had read more in May than I actually did. So I'm honestly a little disappointed numbers-wise for May, but I enjoyed all the books that I read. So content-wise, it was pretty good. Hey guys, it's Hannah, and today I'm doing my May wrap-up and June TBR. I know it's a bit late in the month because I keep posting travel videos from last spring break. Thank you for indulging me. Sorry if you were missing the regular content, but here's the regular content again. Although just warning, I do have some other travel videos coming eventually. Just be prepared for that. So in May, I only read 4 books. Hello. Dusty's here to say hello. Do you have any words of wisdom? No? Okay. So the first book I read, I actually basically just read in a day, and that is Winterbourne Home of Vengeance and Valor by Ellie Carter. This is her most recent release. It is a middle grade. It's about this girl named April, and she didn't mean to start this fire, but she kind of ends up in this museum fire. And instead of going back to this foster-ish home, I'm not quite sure what she was in before, but instead of going back to that, she ends up at the Winterbourne Home, which is also kind of like a foster home. But it has a whole bunch of kids who are, you know, like a little bit gifted in some ways. And there ends up being a mystery to kind of be solved because there is a creepy man. She's trying to find something that connects her to her mom and a bunch of shenanigans. I will say this book felt a little bit discombobulated in the sense that there were some things that I still don't exactly know what happened with it. Like, there are some things that just weren't explained well. However, absolutely loved this book, so I didn't care. I just love the sense of adventure in Ellie Carter's books. Her writing style, her characters are always super enjoyable. So even though this fell short a little bit for me with explanations of some things, and for some of them it seemed like we just have to wait until the second book, but some of them it was kind of like, well, wait, shouldn't something be told to us here? If you can hear banging, that's Dusty playing with the tennis ball. But super, super fun. I read this in about maybe 3 hours. I had read like maybe 50 pages, and then the next day I sat down and just binge read the rest of the entire thing. So very fast read, very fun read, highly enjoyable, definitely recommend. The next book I read was Taken Aim by Eva Shockey. This book is written by Eva Shockey about her life and how she got into bow hunting. And so it kind of follows her life before it, her life trying to get into it. Her dad is a professional bow hunter. I think still has a TV show, or at least had a TV show, just about her kind of stepping into that world. And I really liked this book. I thought it was very well structured. I liked her writing style, although sometimes it did feel a bit blog-ish, but I later learned that she does have a blog, so maybe that's why it sounded like that. But just sometimes, you know how a blog sounds. It just sometimes sounded like a blog, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not my preferred writing style to read, so that was just something that I noticed. But other than that, I love getting to hear about her transition to that. She would kind of jump around a little bit, but she did it in a way that it made sense with the structure of the book, and so I thought that was really well done. And I just liked hearing about her story. I also bow hunt, but I haven't done it as much recently because of school and other commitments, and this book made me want to kind of get back. And I thought she does a really good job of tackling the controversy that comes with bow hunting, because I know there is a lot of controversy with just hunting in general, and I thought she does a really good job of tackling the controversy that comes with bow hunting, because I know there is a lot of controversy with just hunting in general, and the way she handled it was very professional, and I think she just did a really good job of being very positive with it. The next book I finished was 5 Dark Fates by Kendar Blake. This is the 4th and final book in the 3 Dark Crowns series, and boy, was it a roller coaster. So obviously, can't tell you anything that happens in this one because it's the last book, but gosh, what even can I say? It's in this world where it's this island surrounded by mist, and each queen bears triplets, and then those triplets get separated, and they all have different powers. There's naturalists, gifts, poisoners, I already said naturalists. What's the other one? Elementals, war gifts, different kinds of things. So the queens get divided, and then once, I think it's like 16 probably, it's always 16 then everything happens. But once they reach a certain birthday, then they fight to the death, and whoever is the only queen left standing and alive gets to be the queen until she has her triplets, and then it's a cycle. As you might be guessing, because there's a 4-book series, things don't go quite as planned with This Year's Ascension, I think is what it was called. My gosh, this book, The Final Battle, this was just a wild ride the entire time. I enjoyed it. And some things that happened I'm still a bit confused by. And I don't know. Certain people, I'm so glad they lived. My favorite character was okay, and that's just what I wanted. Something happens, someone dies, and I was not expecting it. I had to go back and reread it. I kept waiting for them to come back, and they never did, and I was like, now, hold up. And that's when I realized things could go terribly wrong. And they did in a way, but my favorite lived, so I'm okay with it. Anyway. Fantastic series. I highly recommend this series. It's fast-paced, it's fun, it's very dark, just very gripping, and I highly recommend it. And the final book I read in the month of May was The Day the Angels Fell. Wait, when did I finish that? No. I finished You right before. Aha. I just realized my Goodreads didn't tell me all of my books. I have 5 books in May. That makes more sense. Anyway, the second to last book I finished was The Day the Angels Fell by Sean Smucker. This is, I think, set in Kansas. Is that where it was? It's set in a place where it's rural farmland. This kid's mom dies, basically in almost a sacrificial way for him. And then it starts this journey to find the Tree of Life. And Stan wants to find it to bring his mom back. His friend is kind of helping him but reluctant, and there's these random people that come in search of it. And one thing that was really cool about this book is it flip-flops between current day, where Sam is an old man and he's going to his last friend's funeral, and then back to him like looking back and telling the story of his childhood of this day when the angels fell. Really, really, really good book. The writing style was beautiful and lyrical and fantastic. The characters were so flawed, mainly Sam. Sam is a very flawed little boy, but he's flawed in a way that you can understand, and that, yes, it annoys you to no end, but it also, like, it makes sense, especially with the things that have happened in his life. And the way they present some of the other characters, you instantly trust them, but then you also instantly distrust, but then you start second-guessing yourself, and it was just a fantastic book. A little bit dark, a little bit spooky, a little bit magical realism, a little bit mythological. Fantastic. This was a great read. Highly recommend. It was so good. I got this for Christmas either last year or like 2 years ago, and I just now picked it up, but it was so good, and I've never seen it promoted anywhere on here, so do yourself a favor, go read it. The last book, I finished this the last day of May, which might be why my Goodreads was like, no, psych. But I did finish this in May, and that is Unbranded, 4 Men and 16 Mustangs, 3,000 Miles Across the American West by Ben Masters. This is actually also a documentary. I'm gonna watch it now that I've read the book, and I've been meaning to read this book for quite some time. I've checked this out from the library quite a few times, and I'm just not getting around to it. But basically, it is what it says it is. I'm gonna read you the first line, because I feel like the first line just really sums up everything that happens in the book as a whole. Inspiration. Unbranded started with cheap tequila and greasy enchiladas in one of the few places in the world where you can find people crazy enough to ride a horse for thousands of miles. Texas A&M University. Basically, these 4 guys, and then plus some cameramen, because they decide to make a documentary about it, ride wild Mustangs from Mexico to Canada. And in doing so, they're also kind of promoting the preservation of these wild horses and just talking about conservation in general. And I really enjoyed this book. It's full of gorgeous pictures, like so, and there's more. It's not just Ben Masters' writing. There'll be a little section that was written by Val. There'll be a little section that was written by Johnny. And he'll like mention something, and then the next like entry almost will be by the person who was maybe aforementioned. So I liked the setup of this. One thing that I didn't really care for was before each state, there'd be the first like couple paragraphs, and it would just kind of explain their journey through the whole state. It was very list-like, so I would read it, but I never really cared what I was reading, because later on he like kind of goes into detail about the trip. It just read like the list, and so I found like that little section, I didn't care. Either way, anyway, fantastic book. Highly recommend. There's some great stories in here. It was really cool to read about this long journey that they decide to go on, and also cool to learn about wild Mustangs and how the conservation for them has been going, how it needs to improve, all of those logistic things. And I'm gonna watch the documentary now, because it looks like it'll be pretty funny based off of their personalities from this book. So that is my May wrap up. Onto my June TBR. I'm currently reading The Telling Room, A Tale of Love, Betrayal, Revenge, and the World's Greatest Piece of Cheese by Michael Paternity. I don't know. I haven't put this as currently reading on my Goodreads yet because I'm reserving the right to just put it down. He's getting better. His writing style is so much like a know-it-all fresh out of college student that it drives me crazy a little bit. He's getting better now, but it's still, I don't know, he's a bit much with his writing style, but then he admits it. He called the air in Spain or something. He said the heat was so stiff and all-consuming it felt like, well, the burp of Hades after a green chili relleno. And then there's a asterisk, and you go down to the footnote, and it says, too much, perhaps. And then he goes on this thing of like, you can do too much, but if you had a footnote, then you explain that you did too much, and you explain why you did too much, then it works. And funny. It's funny. I'll give him that. But also, getting a bit tired of it. His writing is so flowery, but I'm liking the story, and I'm very curious about this cheese now. Like, I'm only in like chapter 3 or 4, but we now know there's some kind of mystery involving why this man stopped making this really famous made with love cheese. And now I'm curious. So I'll probably finish it, let's be real, we'll see. Other than that, I don't know. I brought a whole bunch of books home with me for the summer, but so we'll see what ends up happening. But that's what I'm currently reading. So that's it for this video. Comment down below and let me know what you read in the month of May. Yes? Do you have something to say? Also comment down below and let me know if you went on a 3,000-mile horseback riding trip, how do you think you would fare? I think it wouldn't be the end of the world because I do love camping. I like being outdoors, but I'm not much of a horse person. I've always had cows, but I've never had a horse. I've never really done much horseback riding. I think I might have some problems there, but one of the cameramen didn't know horseback riding beforehand and he still did it. So, you know, there's hope for all of us. Anyway, let me know how you think you would do. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it and I will see you all again in another one soon.